Howdy folks, my name's Christian and welcome to Bullish on Farming. Today just checking out the flock. Got Winter out with us and it is winter outside. For those of you who don't know, we've named our new LGD pup Winter. And she's still in training, that's for sure. She's only 3 months and she's been a little rough with one of the ewes that is a little smaller than the rest, and we've had to put her on some pretty hard timeouts. And I think what I'm going to actually start doing is tying her up for her timeouts outside, restricting her movements, and of course affirming no with undesirable behavior, and doing it as quick after the occurrence so that the connection's made by the dog. But for the most part, we can't complain. Right now, she's teething. We got to get her a bone out here, that's for sure. And sometimes she just likes to paw the sheep, jump up and paw at them. And it's very playful. But, pups at a young age play by play fighting. And so she might be playing a little rougher than she realizes. And she actually gave some scratches behind one of the ewes' ears. So, we're taking it pretty seriously. It's not like she can kill a sheep now. I'm sure she could if she was left with a very vulnerable sheep that just bowed down to her. But from what I've seen, it's really just playful. So we want to discourage that as soon as possible and start to ingrain within her bonding nature with this flock that she protects these animals, that they're not just strange animals on the farm. And speaking of bonding, seems my ram is bonded to me. Now, he must have been hand-fed at the farm that he previously came from, because this guy's always on my hip. And, I've seen him following the ewes, and every few days, one of the ewes will go in heat, and he's stalking them. I haven't seen him do the deed yet. So let's talk a little bit about grazing out in the snow, because we have about 2 feet of snow, and we have a snow squall watch out for the weekend. And some people might, who don't get this type of snow, might ask, do the animals graze through it? Well, absolutely. You can see these sheep, they actually kick away the snow and start to, clear out an area and then start to graze and go after what's underneath. That's what we're seeing all these ewes do right now. And I'm trying to see if I could get any of them kicking at the ground and clearing. There's one doing it. And folks, these animals have instinctively survived for so long. And they're a very fragile animal, but they're a great forager. Right now, I have access to the field for the cattle. And that field is this one right here. But I've also got hay by some feeder gates that I have on the other side of those barns. And that's where the cows are choosing to be now, of course, because there's shelter and food. But for periods at a time, I'm going to kick them out into the field and, leave them out there for an afternoon. And still have access back to water, although with this much snow, the cattle actually drink water. And the sheep won't really drink from the water trough because pretty much all of their water consumption will come from the snow by foraging. And, it's fun having these sheep out here. And I think that this paddock setup's going to work great for us through the winter. And on the other side of that fence, I got a symmetric paddock system with a 3-wall enclosure. This was previously a horse barn, and I talk about it and show it more in a previous video if you want to check that out. But it's great, and these fences have worked great for the pup so far. I do have a tensile wire up just below my kneecap in height, and it's shooting out about 1 kV, which isn't strong. But I'm sure that the sheep's nose have grazed it, and I know that Winter is certainly much more mindful of her boundaries of the fence, not, trying to lean up against it, stand up against it as much. And I think it's because she's gotten some of those light shocks that just kind of keep her away. from getting that close to the fence line. And yeah, as you can see, the sheep's kicking it away, foraging, and we got plenty to offer in this paddock. I actually have a trough in that shelter enclosure that I just showed with some hay, but the sheep are choosing to come out here. Now they'll track back to the shelter, of course, and kind of just take a rest and relax here in the bedding, and then they'll eat some hay, I'm sure. But it seems that they really prefer to be out here, and you could see by their engagement with the land, how they have to forage and work for it, how it kind of brings out that purposeful nature and spontaneous exercise of their lifestyle and how nature designed it. And that's what we're really a fan of here. And this is our heated trough. And you know, the sheep barely use it. And that might be because they haven't figured it out yet. I know that their heads reach down, but I'm not so sure that they know that they have to push that float down to drink. But in comparison to cattle, these sheep really don't consume close to as much water. And so I've been very surprised how little these sheep actually drink. I leave water buckets in their barn overnight and they barely consume anything. But again, it's been wet outside, some moisture with the green they've been consuming, as well as now the snow. And you can see that this area that they've kind of kicked out from the traffic, they've really just worked on this side today. And so they got a lot to go through here. I think this is probably close to like 1/3 of an acre, this pasture field, and then probably another one-third on the other side. And so we're looking good, and I think we've got a lot of space. I've commented in the previous video that one of the sheep wasn't looking so hot on her first night here, and I suspected that it might be some type of worming developing. I gave her a garlic juice dose, which is pretty much just a clove of garlic mixed with a few ounces of water, minced garlic, and then I just give her about, half an ounce to 1 ounce shot in the evening. You can also pour it out onto dry food, like, kelp supplement if you use something like that, or grain. Yeah, and after a couple days, she's shown improvement. She's actually, that's the sheep, the one that's closest to the fence in the corner there. And, she tends to stand off on her own a bit, but she's been moving with the group more, and her vigor while grazing and foraging, and the amount of time that she's spending up foraging rather than just kind of hanging back has increased. And I've also been putting pinches of diatomaceous earth mixed with a little bit of corn and barley in the evenings for the whole group. And then I spreaded some diatomaceous earth all over the sheep, kind of dusted it over them and spread it on their coats. And that was kind of a topical application of a deworming measure. And so I'm really just kind of doing a deworming, detoxifying, naturopathic routine, really, that isn't necessarily meant to treat anything, although it might halt anything that is taking hold, but really as a proactive measure of bringing the immune system of these animals up and clearing any parasite activity that might be developing. And so we're looking healthy so far. I think what I will continue doing is giving the one that was, seems a little runtier, giving her a bit more grain every single day and building some strength to build up with the rest. And I have faith that she'll put out, lambs in the spring. And so it's worth it. And, I have good faith that this whole flock can be set up for success. And that's what we're trying to do here. So my hand's getting kind of cold. Probably going to close this one out. Just like to say thanks for stopping by. God bless you all. See you on the next one.